Our Hope and Healing segment is sponsored by the Celebrate Recovery Ministries of Southwest Virginia and Northeast Tennessee. Celebrate Recovery is a Christ-centered 12-step ministry helping people find freedom and hope from all the habits and compulsive behaviors that control our lives. For more information on Celebrate Recovery group meetings in your area, you can visit www.cr4hope.org. The Hope and Healing segment is designed to introduce much-needed recovery and mental health services and professionals to our communities. This morning, we'd like to welcome Dr. Andi Clements. She is the co-founder and president of Uplift Appalachia. Good morning, Dr. Clements.
Good morning, and you can call me Andi. You do not have to call me Dr. Clements.
That sounds great. Thank you, Andi. You are, as I said, the co-founder and president of Uplift Appalachia.
Right.
Why did you decide to found this company and provide this resource? I know that a lot of people in our area are struggling with addictions and need help. What was your inspiration for that?
Well, it came kind of two different ways. I'm also a psychology faculty member at ETSU, and so this is what my research was in. But then we had planted a church in a high-need area of Johnson City about 10 years ago and was on the ground seeing the need. So it's sort of from both sides, and it sort of sandwiched us into we need to be a driver. We need to try to address this both from our faith direction from our church, but also from a scientifically sound direction, and try to offer something. And so it just made sense that since I straddled both worlds, that some of us that did, would get together and maybe help the church to see some of the science and the science to see some of the church, and address it together. So that's where it came from.
This has been described to me as walking with people who are struggling, and
right.
that's part of the mission that you folks have. What does it mean when you are beside someone, walking with them through this transition and journey?
Well, one of the things that we found, we have, as a society, we kind of approach things like, oh, where is the list of things I should do to make this better? And which is kind of what got us in the problem. It's like something hurts, I take a pill, and now we have an opioid crisis, and so it's looking for like a fix. The same thing works for everyone, and we know that doesn't work. And so one of the things that is biblical is walking with people, is being with people and getting to know them and having relationships with them and so forth. But the other thing that we know is really connecting with people and understanding where they're coming from and being able to see their struggles and maybe see a bit more objectively things that might help, we think is very important. And so one of the things that we found with churches is that they're a bit hesitant because it's like we did a survey. We had a grant to start the organization. That's where it came from. But we did a needs assessment, and one of the things that churches said was, we might do something wrong. We don't know what we're doing. We didn't even know it was this big a problem and so forth, thinking that they need to be experts. And really it doesn't take being an expert as much as it takes caring for someone to do better and get to know them and just be there. And I don't mean to fix all the problems, but to know someone well enough to be with them. And so the walking with, you don't have to be walking, but you can be walking. We've done a lot walking. We've done a lot driving, just driving someone somewhere and becoming their friend and drawing them into maybe a healthier community.
I grew up in a Christian family. My dad is a pastor, and there is an importance of building relationships with people. It's so much more than someone coming to a church service on Sunday morning and then leaving. That's just the surface of building relationships and having a safe space where people can feel open to communicate in a non-judgmental environment. Why do you think that church and faith-based organizations are really a foundational prime place to develop that type of relationships so that they can assist in any way possible, finding resources for people. And as you said, really provide a safe area for people to be authentic and to be able to be vulnerable about the struggles that they're experiencing.
Well, I think first off, that's who we should be as the church. I am a firm believer that God, the Holy Spirit, gives us the ability to actually love people. Like God loves people. He gives us that ability to love and care and want good for someone else. My son was a pastor at our church, and he talked about it being for someone. Like you're their cheerleader. You are for this person getting better. And so I think that is who we should be. And so that makes the church a logical place for that. It doesn't mean it happens all the time, but I think some of it is sort of rekindling this identity within the church that is who we are. And one of the things that I really like that you said is the finding resources, and there are resources. There are a lot of resources, and they're advertised and billboarded and all of this. But one of the things that we like to promote with churches that we work with is that yes, you can help someone find those resources which are very helpful, but don't just refer and say, hope it goes well, but again, walk with them, take them there or welcome them back and whatever. So it's not like I've referred this person, I feel good about myself because I helped them and now I don't have any further responsibility. It's maintaining that relationship and continuing to keep them with you, I guess is a good way to say it. And the other thing is also the having people feel that they belong in the church. Someone that is struggling, that's not necessarily the first place they go. It's like, oh, I'm not quite put together enough to be there or whatever. And so it's helping the church to be welcoming enough so that someone doesn't feel that way, but also really caring about the person. I have a friend that he wrote a great book. His name is John Swinton, if anybody wants to know. But he was talking about the difference between inclusion and belonging. Inclusion, you can come, and we say we want you there and all of that stuff. Belonging is when you're missed when you're not there. And so it's that depth of relationship. Then you're going to know what's going on with people. Then you're going to be able to notice as they start to struggle and so forth. And that's what we're trying to breed across the region. That we think will be really helpful in people's recovery or getting to recovery. They don't even have to be in recovery yet to work them there.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, Andi. My listeners know that I'm pursuing my graduate degree in human resource management, and it used to be the term DE&I. That was kind of the catch-all for making people feel included in the work environment and celebrating diversity and different perspectives. And now we've added and belonging into that equation. Because really,
I did not realize ETSU is behind the curve. We're still saying DEI.
and belonging. So when
that
you
is
said
so true. It is so true.
I got chills because really we all want to belong. We all want to be loved, is my opinion, down at the core of who we are.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And that's one of the things that also is this, again, looking for the rules and the regulations and the checklist. Even within the DEI world, you have as long as you have this many people that look like this and that many people that look, which is not it at all. It's like whoever walks in can be, whether you see a diversity or not, everyone should be, equally treated well and welcomed and so forth. So
it moves beyond just checking off the box. And as you said, looking at individuals as individual people who were created by God for a purpose here. Uplift Appalachia has a different mission and approach to mental health than I have seen before. This is very exciting because you offer trainings for churches and faith-based organizations who realize that this is a need within their church and the community. And so you're equipping people. It's not a separate program where somebody can particularly go, but you're equipping the leaders of today and for the future.
Right. And not even just the leaders. It's one of the things that we also talk about that I don't know if you've talked on your show before, or I'm sure in your training you might have heard the terms trauma-informed care. but do a lot of training with that too. I also am an associate director at the Strong Brain Institute at ETSU, and so I've done a lot of this looking at how people got to where they are, and just that a lot of times even addiction is really just doing the best you can coping with something, and sort of changing the mindset of people as they interact with other people. And so that's the thing that we would like to see the entire church, not just, I mean, we have to have the buy-in of the leadership to get to interact with churches, but any single, anybody, the whole church can be part of this solution. The whole church can, just give somebody a ride and love them. And if they can't that day, this other person would be just as happy to, whatever. It's like just the little things, but it's like a lens that the entire church wears, or the whole community, or the whole world. I'm working my way up, but a church at a time,
Exactly. Start within your community and move forward.
Right.
And it's important to be able to recognize your own belief systems and possibly some implicit bias that you have towards people who have addictions. There's a lot we could work through, but we do need to take a quick commercial break. If you want more information about Uplift Appalachia, you can go to their website. It's upliftappalachia.org during the commercial break. Can you stay with us?
Sure.
Great. We'll be back here in just a few minutes. Our Hope and Healing segment is sponsored by the Celebrate Recovery Ministries of Southwest Virginia and Northeast Tennessee. Celebrate Recovery is a Christ-centered 12-step ministry helping people find freedom from the hurts, hang-ups, habits, and compulsive behaviors that control our lives. For more information on Celebrate Recovery group meetings in your area, please visit www.cr4hope.org. Today we are speaking with Dr. Andi Clements, the co-founder and president of Uplift Appalachia. Thanks for staying with us, Andi.
Oh, thanks for having me.
You offer trainings to churches and faith-based organizations. What types of trainings are incorporated in the programs that you do for Uplift Appalachia?
Well, we like to work with churches and see what it is that they need, and we can even do a needs assessment and find out where they are, which sounds really formal, which it doesn't have to be. A lot of times it's a conversation. But we can do everything from what is the theological reason why addiction ministry should even be within the church to talking about how addictions occur and where they come from, all the way to from the neurobiological level to the spiritual level to whatever. But we also do kind of an on-the-ground, what does addiction look like from the person's view, what's going on physically, emotionally, what struggles might they have? How do you recognize an overdose or withdrawal? What are the treatment options that you can help someone weigh out? Because one of the things that we have is a lot of different people saying a lot of different things are the way to go, and to just help people to understand what those are. If a church really wants to dive in with both feet, one of the things that we ask is that that a church maybe designate a few people that are very interested in this to really get trained up. So very much equip a small team of folks in the church, which one takes a lot. And if you're a child of a pastor, you're going to understand this. A lot of times people go straight to the pastor and it's like, I cannot be equipped with knowing everything. And if you have a team that it's like, oh, we have some people that this is what they understand and they can help you walk through this. So you're already prepared to have a lot of this where every single person doesn't have to be that deeply trained. But one of the things that we know right now, and we're actually working with a church in the Johnson City area, but also some of the more rural churches, communities in Southwest Virginia, we have a gap. We as an organization keep a database of all the recovery meetings across our region, so like Northeast Tennessee and Southwest Virginia, and we have some gaps. We have areas where there are not meetings at all, like people don't have any kind of recovery meeting. And what we would like to do is work with, and we're already doing this in a couple of places, is work with maybe in a small community, no church can take that on themselves. It's like we don't have the capacity. And so bring a few churches in a small community together to co-sponsor a recovery meeting or multiple ones, but at least one to get something started in that community. But it also gets the churches collaborating with each other. And so it's like they're sharing the burden, or they're also sharing the joy. But that's something that we very specifically would like to find churches that are interested in doing, because we have a lot in Johnson City, we have a lot, Bristol, we have a lot. But you look at some of these smaller towns in Southwest Virginia, Northeast Tennessee, that just, and we have people with no transportation, and so like you're not going to walk to the neighboring town 10 miles away to get to get to a recovery. I mean, there's not public transportation to do that, and so to have it right there in the community is something that's a real goal of ours right now.
Andi, I discovered on your website, upliftappalachia.org, that you also offer training for nonprofit organizations, so some different groups as well.
Yeah, we would be happy. Any organization, one of the things that we have found ourselves being, probably because of the intersection of the people that are on there, from the science to the faith community, is that we sort of liaison between, and we've ended up being like an interpreter for both sides. And so as much as it's important, and what we focused on mostly so far is trying to help the church to be prepared to be the workforce in this work, a lot of the clinical community and the health community, they don't know how to access the church as a helper. and so we also can offer trainings in how can the church be utilized as some of this workforce within the treatment and care community. And so we can do both. And we'd love to do both.
I also realize that you offer free consultations. If somebody's hearing this today, this conversation, and they're just having that tug at their heart that they should be part of this, how would they go about contacting you and getting the process started?
Well, they could either that we have an Uplift email, director@upliftappalachia.org, which is fine. That will come to several of us, or just Clements@etsu.edu comes straight to me. But any of us would be happy to have that initial conversation. It might be a phone conversation at first. A couple of us could come meet with leadership of the church, or somebody within the church that's like, how do I get my leader interested in this? But we have those conversations all the time. So just ask us. Just ask us. Either of those directions is fine, and then we'll set up a time to chat. And we do a lot of that on Zoom. Like I say, some people are pretty far away from us, but we can do Zoom, or we can do phone, or we could come there, or they could come to us, whatever.
You also have some resources that people can check out.
Yes, right now we have a few like very heady articles on there. We also have a couple of book chapters and things. We have about this work. We also have the recovery meeting database is a searchable database. So if somebody's looking for a recovery meeting, they can get on there and say, I'm in this area. Is there something on Tuesday night or whatever? And they can look on that database to find the recovery meeting. We can also connect people to other organizations. Right now, what we're trying to do is put our trainings in book form, and so over the next few months, we should have that. Where if it's if a church is more interested in, we just want to do a book study, we're starting with the basically the trauma informed care and where did addiction come from book, and then we're going to go and put some of the others into, because that's the one we do the most often. And we think as soon as somebody has that awareness, it really changes what they do. And sometimes they don't even need us to tell them what to do next. They just go do it, And so that's why we start with that one. And it should be published in the next, hopefully, month or so. But people can check back and see, and then it'll be available on the website.
Is there anything else? We do need to take a news break, but is there anything else that you would like to share with our listeners this morning?
I think just it's better to go ahead and check it out and ask. We would love to know people that even just have like you said, a little tug. And by checking with us, it doesn't mean you're committing to this is a lifelong change of my whole church or whatever, but just baby steps. And go ahead and start those conversations. And in the meantime, if you know people struggling, just be a friend. You don't have to know the answers. Just being with is super helpful.
Thank you so much, Andi. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. We appreciate all the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much for having me. You have a good day.
Thank you.